Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's the prodigious, the prominent Professor Johnson at PNG Proclamation News and Governance. It's Friday, the 11th of September 2020. Good morning, good morning. Working on progressive progression inside the studio of Proclamation News and Governance. Here we go. I've got my cousin Gemma Johnson sitting next to me. We're going to bring her on board sooner rather than later. Alligator. Here we go. It's UK economy continues recovery in July. UK economy grew by 6.6% in July, according to official figures, but output remains far below pre-pandemic levels. It is the third month in a row that the economy has expanded, but the Office for National Statistics (ONS) said the UK has still only recovered just half of the lost output caused by coronavirus. Hairdressers, pubs and restaurants contributed to growth after companies were allowed to reopen in July. However, the UK's economy is still 11.7% smaller than it was in February, and growth in July was smaller than 8.7 expansion seen in June. Thomas Pugh, UK economist at Capital Economics, said the reopening of restaurants and pubs meant the accommodation and food services sector rose by a whopping 140.8% between June and July. Oh, on LBC Radio, ladies and gents, just to pre-warn you, we've got, I think it's MP Mr. Whammy coming through. I think a lot of people are going to join in the proclamation news. Garen, he's absolute lunatic. What's going to be next? Diane Abbott. Oh my goodness. However, activity in this sector was 60.1% below the level recorded in February, and while Mr. Pugh expects the ETAL to help out scheme to provide further boost in August, now that most sectors in the economy are open again, there is little scope for further large rises in monthly GPD. Up, 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 but not away. The UK economy continued a sharp recovery from lockdown in July, growing by a bumper 6.8% in the month. But the rate of recovery was a little slower than in June, raising some concerns about the ongoing strength of the bounce back. The economy is still nearly 12% smaller than before the pandemic crisis and has recovered just over half the lost output during the shutdowns. While the third quarter is on course to see the second number for growth and the official end of recession, fears remain that the recovery could peter out. Business groups continue to push for extensions to government support packages that are due to close. The figures in July reflected the partial reopening of retail, manufacturing and some public sector activities such as schools. What happens if we go for a pandemic and it happens again? What would absolutely happen then? Be an absolute shock, wouldn't it? The UK fell into recession after activity shrank for the first and second quarters of the year after the government announced a lockdown to stop the spread of coronavirus. Mr. Pugh questioned how strong UK's recovery would be throughout the rest of the year. Talk of tax rises at the next budget, a further deterioration in the Brexit negotiations, and a worrying rise in the number of virus cases at tighter social distance restrictions will all conspire to slow the recovery even further, he said. Dear Turner, economist at UBS Global Wealth Management, forecast that it will take until the end of 2021 before the UK recovers to pre-pandemic levels. Even with a managed exit from the Brexit transition agreement, it is likely that lost output would be recovered before the end of next year, he said. The latest twist in negotiation raises the prospects that any recovery may take longer. Meanwhile, the coronavirus job retention scheme is due to end on the 31st of October. The former Prime Minister Gordon Brown warned that ending the furlough scheme was a cliff edge that could trigger to tsunami of unemployment. The government got to change course here. He told BBC Today's programme Mr. Brown called the government to introduce a short-time working scheme, such as those in France and Germany. This would allow firms to reduce employees' working hours while keeping them in jobs, with the state topping up their salaries. You got to send a signal that unemployment matters, he said. We don't want to destroy any more capacity and skills in the economy. Come up to the second weekend of September, ladies and gents, and we've got absolutely flux news daily with the UK politics, and we're going to be more methodical madness, methodical correctness. We've got. I can bring my cousin on board, cousin Gemma Johnson, GJ and JJ, hitting the PNG. I think it works, doesn't it? PNG. I'm the professor and she is Gemma. There you go, professor and Gemma. PNG works, doesn't it? Works well, I think. There you go. And she's going to be obviously when I started on radio casting, trying to be fluent takes a few days. So give her a bit of encouragement and also make sure you follow, subscribe, give us a shout out. We're going to build a bigger, better establishment. I've already said it when I started, coming back with a brand new edition. Absolutely. Bonafide conservatism is just about to get real with the Johnson household. Bonafide conservatism is just getting real, ladies and gentlemen. Building a bigger, better Johnson establishment. Lead DWP office failed to enforce social distancing. A government office failed to do enough to prevent the spread of coronavirus, a health and safety inspection found. Workers were pictured gathered around the desk at the Department of Work and Pensions (DWP) in Leeds, where there have been two confirmed COVID-19 cases. The Health and Safety Executive found management had failed to ensure social distancing was maintained. The DWP said it had taken urgent action to rectify all issues identified at the Quarry House office. I mean, this is quite good talking about DWP. We're all in, a lot of us at the moment, still out of work. So DWP relates to us all. So anyone that thinks politics this, politics that, we're really lucky we're getting food and bread on our tables. Food, bread, water on our tables. Absolutely. You beauty. Anyway, during the pandemic, the major of the DWP employees in Leeds have been working from home, but there still have been hundreds of people in the office located inside a landmark building on the eastern edge of the city centre. There has been a recruitment drive at the DWP amid a rise in universal credit claimants due to coronavirus, a whistleblower told the BBC. Mr. Watling, MP of Frinton and Walton on Naze, he was on a train to London. Sorry to cut you short of the DWP conversation. We'll go back to that just shortly. Mr. Watling, MP Mr. Watling from Frinton and Walton on Naze. He was on a train on the way back from Parliament, I'm assuming. He's got authority, a bit like a policeman. I mean, he sets the law. Of course, he's got authority. I'm on Facebook. I'm on all the politics pages. Stick them all in where people don't like it because I'm quite optimistic, as you're quite aware. I read politics most days. Anyway, Mr. Watling, he told this lad on a train to put his COVID mask on. This other lad from London hurled abuse at him, but obviously he didn't know Mr. Watling was an MP. I don't know if he explained himself. He was. He's got authority, and people, about 100 people on Facebook, was putting him down. He's got no right. I'll tell him to F off as well. That's disrespectful. I mean, how'd they like it? I went up to their mum and dad and told them to F off. Ain't a nice thing to do, is it? I mean, so I know this is supposed to be children friendly, but hopefully the children will see this and act in a safe and sensible mannerism. Absolute shocking, absorbing information. How can you tell someone to F off just asking you to put a COVID mask on? Youth of today they've got no sense of, you know, human error. The whistleblower has been working at home for the DWP, but said it was concerned for the health when returning to the building, which is also home to the parts of the NHS. He said, I hear stories about people congregating, not following outlay guidance in an office so big it was difficult to monitor 24/7. People I've spoken to are nervous about a return. They and I felt it is not yet safe enough to go back. The office was busy pre-COVID. I don't know where everyone would operate for in normal times, let alone in a virus outbreak. The HSE infected the office on 27th August after receiving a report of a workplace concern. During the visit, photographs were taken, including one of the workers standing close together. The report compiled following the inspection said, you are failing to ensure so far as a reasonable practical the health and safety of your employees and agency staff at the work because you have not implemented necessary measures to prevent the spread of COVID-19. The DWP has had risk assessed for the office being about 50% full, which the HSE said may be ambitious and unrealistic, leading to the risk of congestion and making it more difficult to maintain social distance. What the report has found, a line manager, gave instruction to a group staff around the desk, with staff not following social distancing. Walkways have been designated as two-way travel despite only being a metre wide. Walkways pass closely to desks designated as usual. Stairways were designated as two-way travel, but did not appear to be sufficiently wide for 2 metre distancing. Even at designated passing points, small tables, breakout pods, and benches lacked "Do not use" signage. BBC has seen leaked messages showing the office has had at least two positive coronavirus cases among staff. Two emails have recently been sent to workers saying people had been sent home from the affected floors and deep cleans carried out. Charles Law, industrial officer with the PCS union, said it's extremely worrying for our members who work for the department, especially if they're expected to stop being at home and come into the workplace. It's shocking that the HSC would do so much a damning report on a flagship DWP office, and we're extremely concerned for the safety of all our members. HSE confirmed the following visit of the official letter, known as the Notification of the Contravention, was sent to the DWP. In this letter, the DWP was warned for a fee would need to get paid because of the material breaches of health and safety law. It was given deadline Tuesday, 15th of September, to confirm action had been taken to remedy the issues highlighted in the report. Ladies and gents, thank you for actually coming together. Please subscribe and share as well. I'm going to bring, like I say, once my cousin gets confident, she's going to jump on board. Obviously, it takes a little bit of time to get into it, and hopefully we can build a bigger, better stabbing. When we get 1,000 subscribers, I think we start getting paid by YouTube. I'm quite sure. That's what I got told. I don't know how true that is, but I'll find out when we make it. We're only 116 subscribers so far. Brexit trade talks hang in balance as UK rejects EU ultimatum. Talks over trade deal with the EU are hanging in the balance amid and stand off over the UK's plans to override part of the Brexit withdrawal agreement. The EU has warned UK it could face legal action if it does not ditch controversial elements of the internal market bill by the end of the month. Concerned Conservative MPs have launched a bid to amend the new law, but ministers say they will not give way. I mean, everyone's worrying about what's going on with Brexit. Was it Brexit, or we're now doing trade deal with the EU? I think they're amending the Brexit. They're amending the Brexit. It's like the Brexit withdrawal agreement. We're coming out of Brexit, but we're bringing the EU in it still. That's how I read it. Trade talks are due to resume on Monday and significant differences. Boris Johnson proposed internal market bill, which is formally debated by the MPs in the House of Commons for the first time on Monday. It addresses the Northern Ireland Protocol, an element of the Brexit withdrawal agreement designed to prevent a hard border returning to the island of Ireland. So we're going to put a hard border up, but are we doing trade deals? The new law gives UK ministers provide to modify and disapply rules relating to the movement of goods. That will come into force on 1st January if the UK and the EU are unable to strike a trade deal. Oh, I see, yeah. So basically, they can modify and display rules related to the movement of goods. So, yes, they're going to be controlled goods coming in now, which should be dealt with. The publication of the bill prompted emergency talks on Thursday, in which the EU said the planned changes must be scrapped at the risk of jeopardising the UK and EU trade talks. But the government defied the EU's demand, insisting it would proceed as planned with the legislation it says is necessary to protect the integrity of the UK and the peace process in Northern Ireland. Makes more sense now. The more we read on, the more it makes sense. I've read it like, I think, when you read something, you don't read it properly. And then today we're reading it properly, sinking in. When it comes to Brexit, all negotiations are interlinked. EU-UK trade talks. The process is to implement the divorce deal, negotiation on fishing rights, and Brussels' deliberation on UK financial surplus. What happens in one area very much affects progress in the others. You cannot separate them entirely. Which is why this week, as the war of words and wills between Brussels and Downing Street rage over the government's threat to throw a grenade at key parts of the divorce deal, Everyone's thought turned immediately to the trade talks between the two sides. Could they survive? In fact, they limp on. Despite bitter arguments over legislation and a huge list of outstanding issues still to be ignored out in bilateral trade talks, despite time and trust running out on both sides, neither the EU nor the UK seem to want to be the first ones to walk out the door. At the latest round of the trade talks, concluded in London on Thursday, the UK said it remained committed to reaching a deal, but the process was changing. Boris Johnson has previously said he would walk away from a negotiating table if an agreement with the EU is not reached by the 15th of October. Not if, but now. Business Minister Nadhim Sawayi defended the legislation as necessary in case existing ambiguities in the withdrawal agreement are not settled through formal dispute resolution process. It is not about the implement of the withdrawal agreement and the Northern Irish Protocol, it's how we implement it. He told BBC Radio 4 today, if we don't reach an agreement in a time by the end of the year, we can't allow adverse impacts on the communities in Northern Ireland. No government, no minister can allow any community within our country, within the UK, to be damaged. But the Prime Minister's approach continues to cause unease within the Conservative Party. The former leaders Theresa May, Lord Howard and Sir John Major among urging him to think again. Former Chancellor Lord Lamont said the government was in terrible mess and warned that the internal market would not be enough, would not get through the House of Lords in the present form. And even strong supporters of the government overall Brexit strategy and internal market bill has expressed concerns about how events could play out. Sir Bernard Jenkins, a member of the strongly pro-Brexit European Research Group (ERG), told LBC Radio that Mr Johnson should be mindful of the reputational damage of playing such hardball. Poor decisions. Leading Brexiteer and former ERG Chairman Steve Barker told BBC Radio 4's Today's programme that UK was in a bad place after a series of very poor decisions. He said a solution was talismanic without grasp in a free trade agreement could be to conclude by the UK should be prepared to repudiate the whole withdrawal agreement as the EU had acted in a bad faith. Meanwhile, senior Conservative backbencher Sir Bob Neill, who chairs the Commons Justice Committee, is tabling an amendment to try to force separate parliamentary votes of the three contentious clauses of the bill. Sir Bob, whose backers include ex-Cabinet Minister Damien Green, told the Times Radio they're not natural rebels. So I hope it's all an indication of the government that really you need to think very hard and carefully about going down this route, he said. For heaven's sake, try and find some other way. Gordon Brown has become the latest former Prime Minister to warn the damage of the move could do to the UK's international reputation, telling today it was a huge act of self-harm. The ex-Labour leader, if I had done that when I was Prime Minister, the Conservatives would have accused me of breaching the rule of law and would have thrown everything at us. Anyone on Castbox FM, please subscribe. YouTube listeners, please share and subscribe on your social media, maybe on your WhatsApp to your friends. I really appreciate your time present. It's a hard business, slow process. I enjoy it and I hope you guys listen in. You can have any radio presenter talking to you. It's just, I'm trying to build my establishment, slow process. I don't know everything I'm talking about, but pretty much the majority of stuff. I've been following Article 51 since January last year. Furlough must be extended to avoid mass unemployment, says MPs. The UK government should consider a targeted extension of its furlough scheme, MPs have said. The coronavirus crisis risks mass long-term unemployment and viable firms could go under without support, the Treasury Select Committee has warned. However, a blanket retention of the scheme would not be good value for money, it added. The Treasury said it would continue to innovate in supporting incomes and employment. The Conservative Job Retention Scheme is due to end on the 31st October. Under it, workers placed on leave have received 8% of their pay, up to a maximum of $2,500 a month. Anyone on the furlough scheme listening? See, this all relates to everyone's everyday life. Amicable politics for the listeners, absolutely. At the first, it paid for the government by the firms had started making contributions to wages in September as the scheme began to wind down. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has previously said that extending furlough past October would keep people in suspended animation. Chancellor Rishi Sunak has also ruled out extension, instead saying the firms will be given 1,000 for every furloughed worker still in employment at the end of January. But the committee's chairman, Mel Stride, said the Chancellor should carefully consider targeted extensions to the scheme. The key will be assisting those businesses who, with additional support, can come through the crisis as sustainable enterprise, rather than focus on those that will unfortunately just not be viable in a changed post-crisis economy. Pay and skills. In its second report, as it inquired into the economic impact of COVID, the committee also warned that the pandemic risked widening the gender pay gap due to the offences in hours and a paid lockdown, especially if work patterns are changed permanently. The MPs also said people should be able to reskill and that small business should be able to fully participate in government's Kickstart scheme, which aims to create work placements for the young people on universal credit. The Federation of Small Business (FSB) trade body said the furlough scheme winding down policymakers. We need to look closely at the measures to stem mass unemployment, including a successor scheme. FSB National Chairman Mike Cherry said the priority should be protecting viable small business at the jobs they would provide. They've been disproportionately hit by the coronavirus, including those caught by local lockdowns, subject to continued national restrictions, or with staff who directly suffer because of COVID. How many people out of work in the UK at the moment? I think it's something like was it 3 million or 6 million or something? I checked the other day. There's 66.6 million in the UK, but I think it's something ridiculous at work at the moment. The Resolution Foundation, which campaigns on living standards, said that extending support for the hardest hit sectors of the economy will be essential to limit the rise of the unemployment Britain faces in months ahead. Torsten Bell, the think tank's chief executive, said the authoritative account of the economic impact of coronavirus should be required reading Treasury officials planning the autumn budget against a highly uncertain backdrop of the rising coronavirus case numbers. The Chancellor will need to reconsider his plan to swiftly phase the support given the painfully reality that the economic crisis is here to stay. This week, leading business groups warned that the UK rides a second wave of job cuts and a slower economic recovery if it does extend the furlough scheme. Germany, Belgium, Australia and France have all decided to extend the launch wage support scheme into next year. I'm going to do a half-hour show, guys, because my cousin's here and I want to get her get her in the process, maybe. Maybe she might not want to, we'll see. A former Labour Prime Minister Gordon Brown told BBC that UK should emulate other countries' short-term working schemes. Mr Brown said the end of the furlough scheme of 31st October was a cliff edge that could trigger tsunami of unemployment. The government got a change of course here, he told today's programme. Short-term working schemes would allow firms to reduce employees' working hours while keeping them in jobs, while the state topping up their salaries. You've got to send a signal that unemployment matters, he said. We don't want to destroy any more capacity and skills in the economy. A Treasury spokesperson said by the time the UK schemes close it will have helped to pay for 9.6 million jobs. We will have continued to innovate in supporting incomes and employment, and the spokesperson said, we're helping employees go back to work where they want to be through 1,000 retention bonus, and we're creating new roles for young people with the Kickstart scheme, creating incentives for training and apprenticeships, and supporting and protecting jobs in the tourism and hospitality sectors through our VAT cuts. And last month's Eat Out scheme. The UK unemployment rate has been at 3.9% since the lockdown was introduced. I mean, this Eat Out, Eat Out to Help Out scheme, there's still a couple of places still doing it through September month. The Bowling Green in Clacton-on-Sea is still doing it. I heard on the it's an Armstrong's restaurant, I believe. I heard it over radio on the local radio. Was it SDR? Maybe SDR Culture or something. I heard it on the local radio or Dream 100. I think Dream 100 changed its name now. But anyway, yeah. So the Eat Out scheme is still open in a few different constituencies. So make sure you have a shop around. Maybe you can Google what's still doing the Eat Out to Help Out scheme. But the Bank of England expects that the rate double to 7.5% by the end of the year when the government funded support schemes come to an end. Thousands of job cuts had already been announced by the firms such as Rolls-Royce, Costa Coffee, Pret a Manger, Pizza Express, British Airways and BP. Just coming to the last couple of minutes, guys, because I'm cutting short. My cousin's here. She might be waiting to do her own thing, or she might want to have a break and then come back on in a bit. We'll see. But I'm just going to talk about Rees-Mogg, and that'll be it for this morning. I might do another show tonight. I've got a bit of study to do tonight as well. Just tuning in to Rees-Mogg, Mr. Rees-Mogg. What has he been up to? I haven't seen him in the headlines very much just lately. I do like Rees-Mogg. He looks like the guy at Lord of the Rings. Coronavirus, Rees-Mogg self-isolating after child tested. Conservative Minister Jacob Rees-Mogg is self-isolating at home after one of his children showed symptoms of coronavirus. He said that the child has been tested for coronavirus and the family is isolating while they waited for the test results. Mr. Rees-Mogg missed a weekly Thursday morning appearance at Business Questions, where he normally briefs MPs on the following week's Commons agenda. He was replaced by the Deputy Chief Whip Stuart Andrew. Mr. Rees-Mogg, who has 6 children, wow, and is MP of North and East Somerset, tweeted his thanks to Mr. Andrew. He's been a busy boy, isn't he? 6 children, more than me. He's a good gentleman, though, honourable gentleman, I believe. At Business Questions, his Labour counterpart Valerie Baz wished Mr. Rees-Mogg and his family well, saying, "We know it had to be something very, very serious for him not to be there." SNP spokesman Tommy Shepherd. I don't really know Tommy Shepherd. I've seen his name quite in the media quite often, but I don't actually know him by face. I don't know Rees-Mogg personally, but I know him by face. He's Mr. Lord of the Rings. Said he would miss being patronised in the flesh by Rees-Mogg. He added, "Can I also wish the leader of the House and his family well? I hardly hide my disappointment at his absence. After 5 long months of my own absence from the chamber, with sometimes problematic communication for the virtual proceedings, I've been looking forward to being patronised in the flesh rather than over the internet. During the coronavirus outbreak, several MPs had to stay away from Parliament after showing symptoms of the virus. In June, the Business Secretary, Alok Sharma, was forced to self-isolate at home after falling ill in the Commons chamber. He tested negative for the virus 24 hours later. I'm going to call that a lovely day, ladies and gents. I really appreciate you all coming in. Might not have been as formal as my usual cast. I've been a busy lad. What can I say? Thank you all for coming in. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for the favour, guys. Give me some encouragement. That's what it's all about. I'm going to bring to show you my cousin. There you go. There she is. She's going to try and get her to interlink into the show as well. I'm not sure. She might want to talk about DWP for helping baby mothers and fathers out. Who knows? We're going to chat about that shortly and see how we're going to tackle it. Thank you all for joining in. She might even support feminism. She might say men today are so lazy they need to get off their backside and pick up some bricks or something. I don't know. Who knows? But anyway, thank you all for coming through. We're here daily with the Flux News. Always do more for God than I did yesterday. And tomorrow I'll do more for God than I did today. Exactly. I'm always trying to work harder on everything I do. I'm trying to bring new people into the show, make it a bigger, better establishment. We're not taking over LBC, but we're working at something towards. Might not be as full on as they do. They do a 24-hour show. They just keep it rolling all night. I could do that. Just keep playing yesterday's news and play it all the way through the day if I wanted to, but that's not how I do things. You get repeated politics. Who wants to listen to repeated politics? Thank you very much. I appreciate you listening. God bless. Take care. Have a wonderful day.